What's up, you guys? I'm Dan, this is Frugal Not Cheap, and today we'll review Caleb Hammer's budgeting app called Simpler Budget. If you don't know Caleb Hammer, he has a show, you can find it on YouTube, where he goes over a person's finances and encourages them to change their behavior and get on a better financial path. It is kind of a tough love approach, which can be very entertaining. But yeah, anyway, it's interesting. I watched the show, especially early on. When he first got started out, I stumbled across it. Very quickly became very, very popular, and there were some interesting episodes back then. Because it's a bit formulaic, I think, I've kind of stopped watching because it's kind of more of the same kind of deal. But anyway, very interesting stuff, and he has recently come out with a budgeting app. This budgeting app is called Simpler Budget, and I think he stated it is basically the way that he would have liked a budgeting app to work. And obviously in the name Simpler Budget, it sounds like it's going to be a bit more streamlined and really not too fussy, which could be good for someone who's new and getting into personal finance. Now, when I went to go and get it, I saw that there was a free trial that I could take advantage of, so of course I did that. And actually found out that it's a good thing because if you don't do the premium version, the paid version, you can enter transactions, so you can use the app, but you have to enter them manually, which is kind of a pain and not something that I would be personally interested in. So I signed up for Simpler Budget Premium. Along with being able to sync your accounts using Plaid, you also get some other benefits. You get access to a budget-friendly cookbook, which sounds interesting. I couldn't find it on the platform, but I'm sure it's on there somewhere. Access to the personal finance community, talks from financial experts, educational videos from Caleb Hammer, and a discount on educational products. As of right now, I think this is all pretty early stuff that he's just kind of launching, and I'm sure it's going to mature over time. But as of right now, the only two sort of mini courses that I could find online, one was about reducing debt, and then the other one was about student loans. The student loans video was a little over 10 minutes, and the debt video was a little bit over 7 minutes. When it comes to these live sessions, which I guess are the sort of expert talks, I actually found that they're locked for me. So it looks like you must have registered for them ahead of time. I'm not sure if that was a paid thing or not. It looks like it might be, but in any case, I was not able to access those recordings from previous talks. What I was able to see is what are these educational products that you get a 10% discount on, although I didn't actually see verbiage about that 10% discount on there, but I found three sort of courses on there. One was called Master Your Money. Then we had the Ultimate Investing Toolkit. And we also have the Definitive Debt-Free Formula. So great marketing. These are very, interesting names, and the modules look like they'd be useful. But these are fairly expensive courses at $147. So before we get any further, all this content here that's on the Simpler Money website, that's, behind the paywall, so to speak, that you need to subscribe for, I think you could probably replicate it elsewhere for free. Now, it might be disjointed, you might have to go to different places, but the thing is that the cost is fairly high here. And so I was going to save the cost for later, but I think it makes sense to talk about it now. To get access to the Simpler Budget app Premium and then all this other stuff here on the Simpler Money website, it's $14.99 a month. That's just under $180 a year, which is a pretty significant amount. And then you're getting these courses, they're $147. So with a 10% discount, that's $14.70 off of those. But still, we're talking about $125 or so. And so, you could easily spend, if you were to consume all of the courses in 1 year, that's what, $450 plus another $180 for, the subscription. It's really adding up to be quite a lot. Now, to be fair, you can do quarterly or annually billing, which is going to cut the cost down. And for the annual billing, it's a pretty significant drop. That comes down to $89.99, so basically $90. I do hate all of these where you use a number that's just slightly below a round number to psychologically make you feel like it's less, like $89.99. It's $90, And that's still quite a bit of money when we look at sort of, other platforms that are out there, although the offerings are a little bit different. So to be fair, it's not, apples for apples, in the sense that what we get here is the educational and the community piece, as well as the budgeting app. Whereas, there are apps out there like Simplify or Rocket Money, where, primarily we're talking about the app. Simplify is $72 a year. There's other offerings like Every Dollar Premium for $80 a year. Monarch and YNAB at higher price points at more like around $100-ish. But then you also have, free or almost free versions like of, NerdWallet is free. Advertising, of course, is what's paying for that. And then you also have Rocket Money, which has a free tier, and then they have low-cost paid tiers as well. Oh, and then of course we can't forget Empower, which is generally my favorite. I would still be using it if I wasn't going to want to use foreign currency accounts, which it doesn't handle. That's formerly Personal Capital. I really like that one. In any case, I guess my point is that you could use these apps, maybe even the free ones, in conjunction with YouTube videos that can teach you about personal finance, so that can replicate the courses. And then in conjunction with communities such as on Reddit, Our Personal Finance, or the Mr. Money Mustache forums, or Bogleheads. There's many online communities that are free to become a part of, where you could get that kind of engagement as well. So given that backdrop, now let's take a tour of the app and see whether it's going to knock our socks off and make it all completely worthwhile. Here's the home screen for the Simpler Budget app. And I do think the color scheme seems to match, Caleb Hammer's aesthetic, so that's pretty cool. And I do like the little colorful icons. They're nice and pleasing. And it's not too busy. I think, because of the fact that it's not ad supported, it can be a lot cleaner. And so I do think it looks nice. Now, of course, I'm filming this on February 1st, so nothing has really happened here in the month of February. I added in $600 of income manually. I just didn't want to link my checking account, but I linked a couple credit cards in order to do the spending. So again, linking is done through Plaid. It's a pretty easy system, although I don't like Plaid because they keep wanting you to sign in, but then even if you sign in, then it doesn't remember your card, and I don't really know how all that works, so I just go as a guest and I ignore all that junk with Plaid. But syncing works, and it supports a lot of accounts, not all accounts, but quite a lot of accounts. Which, by the way, reminds me, this is currently US based only. So if you're abroad, you're out of luck for the moment. Although you could still use this completely manually. So if you wanted to, if we go over here to activity, here we can see, the recent transactions, that income I put in, all this stuff. You could add a transaction and then do all of this stuff manually, which would be fine. You can do expenses, you can do incomes. You've got all these different categories which have nice icons for them. And then you can also create custom categories as well. So you can hear up top, we have a few different budgets that I set up. I set one up for groceries and then for dining and drinks. And then car and auto is really, I think my car insurance is what I was thinking about there. So we can take a look at our budgets, and it's very easy to just add a new budget for any of these different categories. And again, we can add custom categories as well. So I'd say this budgeting stuff works pretty well. We can go, click back here. I don't think we can't swipe left and right. You have to use these little arrows to go back to different months. But you can see it had my spending for January, where I went a little bit overboard on groceries, and then also a little bit overboard on restaurants according to the calculation. But I should point out here though, when I first linked my Capital One credit card accounts, it initially didn't pull in all the historical data. I don't know how long it actually took. I just left the app alone for overnight and then checked on it the next day. So sometime, of course, I don't know how long it would have been, it did actually pull that transaction data in, and then it was available and we could look. And let's see how far back it goes. So we can see that it pulled back up to October 31st. Again, today is February 1st, so that's pretty good. It did about 3 months worth of transactions, which makes sense. Okay, but I did say something about what it says about the dining and drinks. And the issue here is that actually, some of the times that I go out to eat, for instance, the Sichuan Folk at $107, that wasn't all me. So, oftentimes I'll pay with a card and then, friends will reimburse me. And of course I can categorize those reimbursements as dining and drinks. But, if I wanted to split it, because we don't have those other transactions in here because I didn't link my checking account, then the problem is you can't actually split accounts. So here's kind of so far the only real bugbear I found. One, you can't click on this caret. You'd think that that's going to do something, but it doesn't do anything at all. If you actually want to edit this one, you need to hit edit up here. Then when you go to edit, you find that there is no way to split this into 2 categories, which I think is a major feature that's missing from here that basically anyone would want to have. Like when you go to Walmart, you're not just buying one category of stuff, you're usually buying 2 or 3 different categories of stuff. Now, again, I know it is a simpler budget, so we might want to keep things simple, but I think that's just a little bit too simple, and hopefully they'll be adding that feature in the future. So overall though, I think it's useful. You've got your income and expense. This number on the left here is how much you've quote unquote saved, which is just the difference between your income and your expenses so far. And then of course it'll let you know if you're over and all that kind of stuff. And we have a nice little chart here of our monthly spendings. And then we have this little top categories thing. I haven't added any transactions. Let's try that. Okay, I'm not sure really why that's a big deal. Let's add it and see what happens. Nothing. So I don't really know what's going on there, but that's okay. But anyway, so that's that. We have our budgets, we have our transactions, and then we have our profile. So, true to the name, it is really, really quite a simple budgeting app. Ooh, that seems to be a little bug here. I'm clicking overview and we're not getting back to the home screen. If I go to budgets and then over to the home screen, then that's working. So yeah, still some kinks, but again, the app was just released not long ago, and I'm sure they're going to work on this stuff. But that's the tour of the app. Let's go back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Hope you found that tour of the app helpful. So to summarize, I think it's aesthetically pleasing, is relatively intuitive, has a couple of bugs here, and they really should have it be able to split transactions. But overall, it seems like it's a fine app. Again, it's not a super featured app, and it isn't meant to be. But that is also kind of a problem when we consider the price point. So again, we're talking about between $90 and almost $150 a year, depending on how you're paying for this thing, just to have this very, very simple app, which can be replicated with other low-cost solutions. Not exactly the same, but you know what I'm saying. And then other solutions that are out there for a similar price point will be more fully featured as well. Like Simplify can do a lot of things that you're not able to do in here. I don't think you can do like you're tracking your investments and that stuff, although Simplify is not really all set up for that. But also with Simplify, you have both the web-based and the app-based versions as well. So I thought it was kind of weird there's no web-based version of Simpler Budget, because it's a pretty simple app, right? And then when we talk about the other things that you're getting with this premium deal, the courses and the community and all that stuff, I don't want to say that those things are not useful. I'm sure that they are, but just that, there are some free alternatives that are out there. So it could be, yeah, maybe it's not all packaged all together in one place, but you have to make that determination for yourself, whether it's worthwhile to pay in order to have, this particular feature set all sort of in one place, except that community and all that stuff is on the web, whereas the Simpler Budget is on the app. So you still have to go to 2 different places in order to use these things, but they're all under one subscription. So really, I think that my take home from all of this is unfortunately not all that warm. It's basically, especially considering that Caleb Hammer's audience is geared towards people that are really just starting to learn about personal finance and get on the road, that the offerings are disappointingly expensive, especially considering that. It's kind of odd that, Personal Capital and Power, which is geared towards really people that are more well-to-do, they've got investments and, they're trying to sell their portfolio management stuff, that's actually like a completely free service. Where now we look at the lower, not the lower end, but when we look at the lower income or more difficult financial situation side of it, and we're starting to see, trying to charge more, right? Like Dave Ramsey's application, every dollar, the premium one that does the syncing, $80 a year. Here, Caleb Hammer's $90 a year. And then those courses, $147. So yeah, I would just say, really my take home is it's disappointingly expensive. Have you tried the app out or checked out any of the courses? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Hope you found today's video helpful. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.